making no noise whatsoever. And they go, so Mafia, who do you want to kill? And so you kind of have to just kind of
go. Okay.
Don't even know.
Guess who?
But like they would point at them. And they would be like, okay, fine, whatever, Mafia, go back to sleep.
Okay, we gotta get this going because Andy and I are on time.
Yeah!
Right. All right.
It's 2 minutes after 5.
They have to leave directly at 6.
But we start at 5. We start at 5. That's what the schedule is. We start at 5. I come down here early so we can start at 5.
Listen.
And then Toni traipsing in here after 5.
Toni is on desk until I am relieved of being on desk.
Hey, what's today? Oh, but it ain't the day I care what you say. So just get here on time.
Listen.
I'll care tomorrow.
This is still not on topic.
I should have brought popcorn.
This is true. Let's get it going. Let's go around. What are we reading, playing, doing, whatever? Lord Ish.
Yes.
Wait. Where's the screech? Lord Ish.
Oh. Yes. I am.
What's happening?
I'm sorry.
It's fine.
We started a cult.
It's the collapse of society.
But is he wrong?
I am reading The Drawing of the Three, Part 2 of The Dark Tower by Stephen King. Which I'm almost done with. I did not like it at first because it's very different from the first one in like style and just general vibe. However, I stuck it out and then it got really cool with interdimensional stuff, interdimensional cowboys, yada yada yada. Now I'm into it.
Into it.
Yeah. So, my journey was the same for that. Like at the beginning, no. Because by the end, I'm like, oh yes.
Because I love the flowery language of the first one. Like I think I described it to Toni.
Was it flowery?
I thought compared to like Stephen King's usual style. I said it was like it felt like Cormac McCarthy writing El Topo or something, which probably means something to like 5 people out there.
Yeah, no, but I understand they are the Cormac. It did have
And Tony's one of them, thankfully.
Yeah, so I feel you. That's true.
Yeah, so I'm doing that, and then I'm gonna have to read Transcendent Kingdom for the book club.
Yes.
Yep.
That's on my list.
Right.
Of things.
You guys read that too.
That's great. I don't know if I can attend the book club I picked the actual book for.
Oh, no.
So.
I'm intentionally. Anyway, that's not the point of today's podcast. I was going to mention something for next month, but whatever, it's fine.
Okay.
What am I doing? Okay, what am I reading? I will tell you about a book that I read today because I read picture books. So, I read a book called Nigel and the Moon by Antoine, who is a Twitter friend, and he is amazing. And that's why I bought the book. I love the book because I read it, and it is beautiful. The illustrations are super fitting. They match the tone of the prose. I mean, it's hard to do that in a picture book and do it well, and I've read some of the best, and this one is up there. It's really good, and just, I love it. It's beautiful. It's perfect. So everyone should read Nigel and the Moon, or come to the library if you are one of those people who listens to my recommendations and, ask for it because we're getting it. So, yes, that's what I read today. And I will start reading, because I have it in my hands. Oh my God. I will start reading Bitter by a.k.a, which is the sequel to my number 2 pick from last year, Pet, which is one of the best books I've read ever.
Isn't that the one that's on your staff bookshelf right now?
Yes, Pet is fantastic and the direction that fantasy must go in if it wants to continue to be a valid genre, in my opinion. And Bitter, yes, ask me how I really feel about it.
I don't need to.
Yes, I don't. And Bitter is the sequel, and it's about Pet's, not Pet's mom, but the main character's mom from Pet, and I'm just like, what? So, that's what I'm doing. Aaron!
So I've been playing a lot of things recently. So first off, by the time this podcast ends, the new update for Cyberpunk 2077 is finally finished downloading on my computer, which I'm super excited about because they've added a whole bunch of like actual things that they really should have added in the first place, but they didn't. So I'm super excited about it. However, I played a game this past week called Lemon Cake. and it's actually really cute. It's really
sounds
adorable.
adorable.
It is adorable. It's definitely got that the graphic styles, that old N64 style vibes to it.
Oh,
I dig it.
And you can be whoever you want. Like, there's no real gender restrictions on it at all, by the way, when you're making your character.
It's like real life. Carry on.
And you have entered into this bakery that is in shambles and ruin, and you run into a ghost who actually used to own this bakery. And you have to help the ghost revitalize, rework, fix up her bakery.
Stop.
In order to help her in the game. Like, you can continue playing afterwards, but the ultimate goal of the game is she was really sad because when she died, she can't make her favorite lemon cake. So you have to upgrade your bakery enough to where you can make her the perfect lemon cake.
I want to just die from the cute.
And then, meanwhile, at the same time, complete 180 from what I'm acting from that game, I'm also playing a game called Strange Horticulture. And Strange Horticulture is a detective mystery.
I was about to say, is it Little Shop? But
no, so it's like a shop-like game. You own a shop. You have been left a shop by your father, who died. I think it's your father. Don't quote me on that. And all you have been left with is his collection of plants. And you have to find and catalog all of them inside the shop in order to help the shop thrive. And
You mean to tell me that as a person who catalogs professionally, you then go home to catalog unprofessionally?
Yeah.
Oh.
But except it's not
It's
exactly.
unwinding. It's
actually
de-stressing.
not just cataloging. It's actually a detective mystery game that's disguised as a cataloging shop game.
I mean, we can kill someone and leave them in the library, and you can
don't
detect.
say it on tape.
Okay,
We'll take that part out.
I don't want to be actual Nancy Drew
Okay,
over
for the
here.
FBI agent that is listening to this podcast on Thursday afternoon,
Hello,
we're
NSA
literally
agent.
just joking.
Wouldn't it be great if that one random listener, like in California, shows up and he flashes the badge?
No.
Oh, God.
Why is it California? I don't want to know.
Because
But I've only,
making it seem like it's farther away seems cooler.
I've only just started it, so I'm kind of happy because you can identify new plants, you can pet your cat.
Oh, fun.
You can also
I'll do
join
that.
a coven or a cult.
Okay.
And so I am down for that. I am excited. I have no idea what's about to happen in this game. I just started it like last night.
Nice.
So we'll find out.
So,
Yes.
did you have a question?
Oh, I was just gonna say, for some reason it makes me think of Hot Fuzz, like that plant store and everybody's in a cult. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Jen.
I have been reading, I feel very slowly by my standards, but probably still very normally by everyone else's standards. But that's what happens when I'm supposed to be learning my lines, and also I got sucked in by a fan fiction idea the other day.
Oh,
and didn't
no.
stop until I produced 4,300 words this morning. So,
There's a fan fiction idea and you haven't told me about
well,
it.
you don't watch Call the Midwife, so you don't care.
That's fine. I would read
neither
it
do I, but
anyways.
you told me about it.
That's because I tell you all my updates on Call the Midwife.
Okay, that's
to
yeah, you do.
entice you to keep watching.
Yes, it's true. I have. Yes, that's fair.
Yes.
Yes.
But anyways, I am rereading Nicola Yoon's Instructions for Dancing.
Oh.
I am dreading the bit near the end where Nicola does her thing where she like twists the knife in a way you did not see coming.
Because she's Nicola Yoon and she hates us.
Yeah, because it's gonna. I know it's coming, and it's still gonna hurt.
Oh.
The main character can see what's going to happen to two people's relationship if they kiss in front of her and they are truly actively in love. So then when she kisses her love interest, when they're properly actually in love for the first time, plot twist!
She can't.
Ouch. I don't know why I'm ouching, but I mean, I think I
Think-
think. Ouch.
Think Tifios.
If anyone could see Tony's face right now.
Andy, what are you reading?
Nothing. Right now,
What are you listening to?
nothing.
Wow.
Right now.
You're in the void.
What are you
I'm-
playing?
Oh, you're in the void.
I mean,
Carry on.
and it's not even a negative void. I'm just
No,
like,
no, yeah, no.
because you know how I've been complaining the past couple months about all this stuff I have to listen to.
Yes,
write
Andy's been
review.
complaining to us about reading.
Library.
But you know how it is when you know how it is when you have to read something like when you're in
If
your
you're forced to
literature
read
classes,
something.
you have to read stuff versus getting down to
I don't
reading
know
what
that
you
feels
want.
like because I never read.
So I'm in that little void of I'm emptying my mind for a few days. I
No.
need the urge to
Yeah,
I have things
let
I
it all
want
go
to
and come
read or
back to
listen
it.
to.
empty and
This is when you
become
mindlessly
wind.
play
Oh,
the
sorry.
Switch.
Like,
This is when you just mindlessly
I
play
am.
the Switch.
I'm actually playing Baldur's Gate. I bought the Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 for the Nintendo Switch. It was
I
on sale.
love that series.
For a whopping $10. And it kind of relies heavily on the old the D20 system of D&D.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a fun little game. It's not graphically amazing, but it's fun so far.
It's also pretty old.
Yeah, well, I'm fine with
In
that.
terms of video game standards,
Oh,
it's pretty
definitely. What do I have it? I have Transcendent Kingdom, but I also realize that depending on our rehearsal shift,
Yep.
I might not be able to go, so I'm debating, am I even going to start reading it? Or could I just, because I can't be there to talk about it, should I just move on to, I have Interior Chinatown, that was a book I was given to for Christmas, and I need to finish Have Mercy. Finally, I'm about 2/3 of the way through that. I read a few pages every night before bed.
Admittedly, as much as I also will probably have rehearsal that night and cannot attend staff book club,
Yeah.
I genuinely enjoyed the book that I picked.
I-
I do recommend getting to it when you get the chance.
It'll probably be on my list, but it'll
That's
be
fair.
shifted around
What's
to.
next month?
Too Bright to See by Kyle Lukoff because I chose it.
Okay.
However,
I just
as we
know-
are talking about book discussions, some
read books?
weeks, months
Every
ago,
so
I can't remember when, Toni suggested we all read a book.
Yeah.
What book did you suggest we read?
A Good Kind of Trouble by Lisa Moore Ramée. It's a middle grade novel, which means it happens in a middle school.
To the middle grades. Surprise, surprise.
Yes, right, yes.
Wow.
Should I tell everyone what
Give
it's about?
Give it a basic overview.
Summary.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's about our narrator, Shay, who is in 6th grade, and it pretty much tracks her through her 6th grade year. And over the course of her 6th grade year, various things are happening. Crushes, friendships that are having difficulties for the first time.
Growing
Ooh,
pains.
yeah.
Yes, growing pains. A Black Lives Matter series of protests because of a trial that's happening in town. And family drama.
All at the same time.
Kinda,
Slight
sorta.
family drama.
Less, related more to the Black Lives Matter protests
Yes.
than any, deep-seated family
Yes, and in
issues.
the midst of it all, Shay has to really sort of figure out what does she really think or feel about any and all of it.
Yeah, or what is, the things that she has always thought would be true are kind of turning out to not be, but can she,
Yeah.
A good selling point.
what does that
Which
look
is very
like?
important.
Yeah.
An interesting selling point, and some of the synopsis when you read them, on Goodreads or I think on Amazon, is she is a self-professed allergic to trouble kind of girl
Yeah.
Yes.
who has to find
Hence
what
the
is
name.
worth getting into a little bit of trouble for.
Yes, exactly.
And
Yeah.
I thought that
Or
was
even that again, as the title heavily implies, that not all trouble is necessarily bad and scary and life-ruining kind of situations.
The title really, once you've read the book, the title takes me immediately to that scene where Principal Trask. First of all, so I listened to the audiobook, which is fantastic.
Imani Parks represent.
So good.
Wonderful.
She's wonderful. And the thing that I love the most about being the human being that's me is that as soon as I heard the name Principal Trask, I was like, first of all, Lisa Moore Ramée, props. Because you are definitely an X-Men fan. Because you named that principal exactly as you should have named her. If you know anything about X-Men, you know that Trask is that guy.
Trask Boulevard, right?
Yeah,
Is he the-
he's
Or
the,
slash.
He's trying to get rid of the mutant.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like in a very specific, he's the inventor of the Sentinels, the Sentinel program. So if you take that fully, that's who Principal Trask is really supposed to be. So
I love that Easter egg that I had no idea existed.
As soon as I heard her name, I was like, is this? And then every plot development with Principal Trask after that, I was like, rude, Lisa, rude. But also, okay, so anyway, the title takes me right to that scene where when Principal Trask is like hunting down students.
Is it the one where she's in front of the school? I'm sorry.
It's one of those scenes, yeah, that one.
And the
but
mother's about to
also
drive up and...
the one where she's like hunting down students with a pair of scissors.
Yeah.
And I was just like, see...
It's not as violent as it sounds.
She's not murdering.
No, right. But see, it was one of those moments that I, being the middle schooler that I was like, see, I'm so glad teachers didn't pull this when I was in middle school, because I was the kind of middle schooler to fight people. Like, there was no such thing as good or bad trouble. There was only trouble, and it was me. So, this book made me feel things. That's all I'm going to say. Lots of things. Lots of things.
I don't know if we felt the same things, but I do agree.
There was a lot of rage happening at various points
Yeah.
in the book for different reasons. So, anyway, that was my experience of reading.
One of my experiences reading this was different lifestyles from, say, like nieces within my own family. Mm-hmm. But, like, reading this, I felt like I was talking to one of my nieces when they were like 11, 12, 13.
Yeah, she
so I got
very well articulated.
Yeah,
like it felt. I mean, of course, and that's a question I have for us all to talk about. Was it genuine? Did Lisa capture the pre-adolescent experience well? Because like as I'm reading it as a 41-year-old man, I'm thinking, man, this is making me happy, like almost giddy happy, thinking about my nieces and nephews at respectively, just the similar ages.
It did make me happy about the adolescent experience, because I was like,
but like the tone, like
yes,
yeah, that it didn't feel like an adult who hasn't talked to a child in 20 years trying to write a child.
Yeah.
It felt like somebody who was really in touch with their child going, this is what I would say if I was 12.
Than we care to admit.
It does happen a lot. I felt personally that she nailed the voice, and that's what propels you through so much else that happens, because a good plot is a good plot, and it's a solid plot.
Yeah.
But you don't just... There's a scene very, very, very early on that was like the tipping point where I was like, oh, I'm in love. When Shayla's in class and her teacher is doing that very classic, like, white lady teacher thing to do, which is like, we're gonna learn about Ralph Waldo Emerson. Now, Ralph Waldo Emerson was an abolitionist, and da-da-da, and she's going on and on and on about the virtues of Ralph Waldo Emerson. He has many of them. I am a Ralph Waldo Emerson fan. I have been for a very long time. Let me be clear about that. However, she's going on and on and on about it, and Shayla says, not to the teacher, but in her head to the audience, I wish I could abolish this conversation. And I was like, here for you. Me, all day long, when I was your age. You're a 12-year-old. I can
That
rock
is
with you.
literally how I felt in middle school, like going through class, I'm like,
obsessed.
And it's like a perfect thing, because when you get a word gets used in your direction, you throw it back to the source so quick.
Yeah.
So it's like, that was like a perfect example. That was great.
Yeah. Yes.
It was just a cute... I mean, so much it was cute. Like, even some of the stuff that she had to deal with, she dealt with it in a really, really kind of...
Yeah. There were other moments. Okay. Ladies.
Yes.
okay.
Talk to me about the prom scene. Well, prom. Dance sequence.
Oh.
Not just
It's
the
been a
scene,
while.
but the dance sequence. Like, where you're not feeling things.
I've definitely felt... I never... Like, personally... I never had a lot of like awkward dance moments, because I was always like, I'm here with my friends. We're always here with our friends. If they want to dance with their boyfriends, that's great. Like, I never had any of like that interpersonal crush drama of my own to lead to some of those nice and awkward situations.
You never had a friend sabotage you and force a boy to kiss you on the dance floor?
No, because I would have been in prison for murder.
Right.
I've never been to school. I've been to one.
That makes me want to veer. Can we talk about Julia? Julia, right?
Yes.
Can we talk about Julia? Can we all talk about... we don't talk about Julia? Can we talk about Julia?
Let's talk about Julia.
We don't talk...
We don't talk about Julia.
So... I've been talking.
No.
Talk to me about Julia, because I want to know what everyone else thinks, because I know what I think.
I definitely feel like she was feeling some of the, oh, all my cool friends are doing this, so I had better do it exactly like them.
Peer pressure.
Peer pressure. Maybe even realizing in her own head that, yeah, some of what she's doing is wrong. But again,
Peer
all
pressure.
of her cool friends are doing it this way, and she doesn't want to rock the boat. And I think it's a good kind of counterpoint to some of what Shay was experiencing with what I have forgotten her older sister's name.
Hannah.
Hannah?
It is Hannah, yeah.
Yes.
H-A-N-A.
Yeah.
But yes, Shay's older sister was telling her, it's super weird that you don't have any black friends. You are going to regret not having any black friends when you are older. None of these girls can understand what you personally are going through right now.
Yeah.
Rightly or wrongly.
Yeah.
We can circle back to that once I finish this sentence.
Right. Yeah.
But then with Julia, those were her Asian friends.
Yes.
Those were the people who look like her, who have had her experiences,
Yeah.
who she wants to be close with. So it is that very hard line of like, as much as she was a terrible friend to Shay and to Isabella
Yes.
at one point. But it's a hard line to balance.
Yes. Yeah, I think that was my favorite, probably my favorite moment in the entire book is that fight that the three of them have out, they've been going at it sort of weirdly for weeks after that dance, and so finally Shayla and Izzy are at lunch and just can't take it anymore, and they grab Julia and they go out to wherever at school grounds, and they're just fighting it out. And I was like, first of all, props again to Lisa for pulling that off, because this feels like a real fight. I'm taking sides, okay? This is awesome. But also, that's how it is when you are having a friend fight. Like, you just will stand there for however long it takes. You will be late to class. You will be late to work. You will, it's time to fight because I cannot take this anymore.
Yeah.
And I also really appreciated, that she didn't shy away from the racial implications of three girls of very different non-white races talking about race.
Yes. I thought some of that was really excellently done.
Yeah, and each character had their own not just nationhood, but their own personhood that they brought to the table. So Izzy was the girl that wasn't going to say much when Shay and Julia were going at it, because Shay and Julia are just bigger personality types.
Yes.
But when it came down to it, Izzy was very honest with Shayla about well, you guys don't ever ask me about my life either outside of being
and you kind of assume that I am going to react a certain way, and I am coming to the realization that I'm stronger than you give me credit for.
Yes, exactly. And
then I think some of Julia's stuff too about I get told all the time, as an Asian girl, I should not be doing the blue streaks in my hair. I should not be being loud. I should not be playing basketball. I should not be doing these things that I like to do. That of course Shay and Isabella have never had to think about.
And there's even a little bit of that conversation, because right now there's some media outcry at Miss Aquafina for her historic black scent. There is a huge, and this is something that a lot of people don't really know, but there's a huge overlap between Asian and black communities.
Yeah.
And
particularly in California.
And
the LA.
Yeah, and Julia is one of those girls who that's a conversation that Julia and Shayla end up having that's important to what's going on in the book, other than just their friendship problems, because Shayla's you are not actually black. You do not actually know what it feels like to see your people go on trial and for the person who shot that person to be proclaimed innocent. There's a whole layer to this that you don't get just because you play basketball and listen to rap music. Sorry.
And also just what was, I forget which slang word she was not using correctly, but when she tried to drop, I don't know, ratchet, what was it?
Oh, yes. Yeah. There's a whole...
But when Julia was trying to use one of the slang words, and even I went, I don't think that's how you use that. And then Shay dropped, that's not how you use that.
Right. And it is one of those, that conversation just was one of those things where it's each of these girls has a very different life outside of what they live together, and part of what drew them to one another, I would imagine, is that they don't have to talk about those things with each other. They don't have to be the Asian girl, the black girl, and the Latin girl.
And I think it's even implied in the text too that at the elementary school that they went to, they were kind of the only people of color, at least in their specific classes that they were assigned to.
Yes,
yes, they knew a couple other black people around. They knew a couple of other Asian people around. but they were always the ones who always ended up together. So
Yeah.
of course they ended up kind of bonding that way.
Yeah.
And then, when you're 6, you don't necessarily realize that the way this person experiences the world is different. But when you're turning 12 and 13 and 16, some of that starts clicking a little more into the focus for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
United Nations, man.
Well, and
Nations-
even things that I love the differences in the way that the crushes were approached, because, Izzy is beautiful, and her mother, in a traditional Latinx household. I remember my everyone's gonna laugh when they hear this sentence, but it's fine. I remember my very first ex-girlfriend said to me that her grandmother was angry that she was 18 years old and unmarried.
Okay.
Because her grandmother and her Mexican father were very traditional, and were like, what do you mean you're 18 and you're not married? We don't understand this. Like, sure, you can go to college, but where's your husband? And so carrying that into Isabella's, understanding who Isabella is at 12, she's seen by Shayla even as beautiful, as more beautiful than anyone else. And Isabella's mom treats her that way. Isabella's mom's just like, remember, you are a lady and you are beautiful, and you are sort of over-sensualizing her, and Isabella's just very uncomfortable about
And
it.
Isabella's like, I'm wearing a baggy t-shirt and jeans. What are you talking about?
Yeah, whereas
I am
Shayla's-
12. I am literally a child.
Yeah, whereas Shayla is like, listen, honey, every black girl has had this struggle with their mama, okay? Where mom is like, nah, take that lipstick off your mouth. Take the makeup off
that's
your
the
face.
one,
you.
quintessential feminine struggle that I never faced that. So that's always, I know it happens, but that's always one that blows right by me every time in fiction.
It was so hard to listen to those scenes because I remember my aunts saying that to their daughters. I remember their daughters losing their minds or hopping in the car and be like, go, 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 go. And getting around the corner so that mama couldn't see you and just applying makeup real quick before you get
Or
it.
changing your clothes.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Okay. All of that was
I
so
started.
okay.
I think when my mom started seeing me apply my own stage makeup at age 8, we kind of lost that fight where you can't wear lipstick to school anymore.
Fair.
I looked like a hooker.
Oh my.
Yeah,
They
that's
had
usually how it goes when you have to wear stage makeup at age 8.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Especially because for the Nutcracker, at least when I was a kid and when we first started doing it, we were using the literal grease paint stick foundation at age 7.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
I bet that looked pretty
I
garish
looked
at
like
age
a
8.
trollop. I can remember to this day there was a chart of how we had to do our eye makeup, a diagram of how to apply it.
Can we get a picture?
I can probably.
Picture didn't have. You don't need. If you don't have to show it now, but I definitely want to see this.
I'm weak.
Really quick question.
Yes.
Did you start it? Finish it? What's your?
I got partway through it, but
Big book.
school kind of ran me ragged for the past couple weeks. But from what I remember, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I remember reading some summaries afterwards so I could get the ending experience without really reading the rest of it because we were doing this. And I, with the arm thing, I was
Wait, the arm. Oh.
I was
that.
We all had our arm.
So, me being the history nerd that I am, totally immediately grasped and cradled and went, at the historical context of kind of what was going on.
Well, the costume choice, and
Yeah.
she got shot down. That was kind of
Oh, the costume.
right.
Oh.
And I thought there's the whole section. Oh wait.
No,
Are you finished? Wait.
I didn't finish it, but are you talking about the scene where she said you're glorifying a violent?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh.
And I was really in the internal monologue she was having. I wanted her to be like, nah, I don't think I will.
But
And
Yeah, I
My-
wanted Shayla to be me, and I was like, I realize this girl is not me, and maybe it's a good thing because the book would have ended right here.
Well, the principal's going at it and snipping him off, and I'm sitting there just going, "You legally can't do that."
Oh, but listen, let me tell
here's
you.
Don't care about laws.
Let me tell
No,
you.
but-
yes, they can. That was the thing. One of the things that that is so incredible about the book is that we live in the country that is currently doing everything that it can in every state that it can ban a book because there's a gay character in it, or a trans character in it, or
it's teaching critical something.
race theory. This is one of those books that,
Don't get me started
that
on
is
that.
primed to be banned because of that very thing. And
Yeah.
the sad truth of the matter is, if you are a character like Shayla, if you're not me, the mouth of the South, that's going to really have a problem and almost get expelled because, the teacher decided they were going to touch you, let alone with a pair of scissors.
Did you know?
What?
The mouth of the South. That's
My-
your official.
My mother's been calling me that since I was,
See, that's when you just
6.
have kids. If this happens to you, you just throw down the 1969 Tinker versus Des Moines
But
thing.
no,
and
seriously.
Right.
Look, you can't do that.
But legitimately, if you are, I think this is what makes Shayla's being the narrator so powerful. If you're not Toni, and you're the kind of kid that just takes it, and you don't tell your mother, and you don't tell your sister, and you don't, because you don't think that anyone's going to care, or you don't, everyone's going to be a grown-up about it, which means that they're not going to care, or they're going to side with Principal Trask because maybe you weren't doing the right thing, or you're just sort of not quite sure-footed enough to make a stink about it because you're 12. I think, grown-ups get away with doing horrible things to children all the time. Let me say, it is a horrible thing to look a child in the face and say, "What you are wearing disgusts me." That is a horrible, traumatic thing. I don't care if you don't like what the child is wearing. Your teeth should be slapped out your mouth for saying that to a child. And I don't say that lightly. That is a traumatic thing to put a child through, regardless of the reasons that you do it. So, that was one of those moments in the book that I was just so angry. I could not, I was foaming at the mouth, and I'm like, I know this is fiction, but it's not fiction. This is real. This happens in schools all the time, and it's horrifying to know that we live in a country that is, experiencing these kinds of challenges on the daily basis.
It was really wild though, because the only reason that I actually picked up on the I realized they're two completely separate dealings of why they're wearing the armbands in the first place.
Yeah, right.
But the reason that I even picked up on the historical connection
Oh, sure.
between the two, that case and what's going on in the book and real world historical things is the color of the armband in general.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
both the historical thing and the book, they're both wearing the exact same color. And the exact same thing happened in both cases. And so my brain was like, that right there.
Yeah, it is, it's...
Which, made me rage even harder, but that's fine.
Yeah.
It's a hard, don't get me started. I mean, you already did, it's fine.
You've been triggered since Hootie Hoo.
You really have.
This book, that's the
No,
book
it's
that-
good. It's
the
good,
book
though.
does that. It's so well written, and it really pumps all of those emotions into the reader because you root for Shayla very early on.
Yeah.
And for someone to do something, even her mom, when her mom is like, "Girl, what have I told you about the makeup?" The adult in me is like,
Here we go.
she's not wrong. Maybe she should have worded it differently, but she's not being mean, so I get it. But the person that is always 12 in me is like, "Mama, really?" I just, I want Shayla to be able to be Shayla without her mom just perching on,
Or again, I realize I said this earlier and I'm basically just repeating myself.
Yeah.
I don't get the fixation about, you're 12, you can't wear mascara. I'm like, what is it gonna do if they're wearing
Right.
blue mascara?
Right.
It's gonna look terrible in photos in 10 years. But, I think makeup culture in general
Yeah.
is very weird, and I fully admit that. When you watch people who are out there putting an entire new face on top of their face, I'm like, okay, this is getting wild.
But I think from a parent perspective, there's sexualization to it.
But that's
You're gonna get that out of the way!
But that's the problem. That is very much the problem because,
If someone thinks my pink lipstick is my natural lip color, that is a them problem.
But even if they do, I'm sorry. There's a point at which you look at that child and go, it's a child.
Yeah.
They're a child. Nothing that this child does is in any way sexual or over-sexual, because guess what? use a child. Like, I don't understand this.
Or like, again, there is no sexual like there should not be any sexual connotation of like, I'm wearing red lipstick, so obviously that means I'm open to invitations.
I remember in high school, at my high school, there was a whole, we had a
Whole thing.
we had a staff member,
Oh, no.
love her to death, but when she said this, my jaw fell to hell. Like, literally, that's how far it fell. I was like, ma'am, really? She explained to other staff because the other staff didn't care, and she was about to have a stroke because why are all these girls in the cafeteria with sweatpants and pajama pants on? She was losing her mind. There was nothing in the policy about it, which I swiftly reminded her of because I had the policy memorized because I was that person.
Of course you did, yes. Continue.
They said read the policy before you attend school, so I read the policy. And I called her on it. Anyway, she said to these other staff members who were male aligned, because they were like, what's the big deal? And she's like, well, think about when you were 16. Wouldn't you just love to see a nice pair of pants snug on your favorite gal pal? And I was just like,
That's the
we're
whole.
over-sexualizing pajama pants? Like, I do not Does her butt look good in them? Sure, but so does mine. Are you gonna tell me I can't wear sweatpants in them?
Yeah, or again,
That's the shoulder
or it's
argument.
such,
Yeah.
Bye.
it's such a weird line too between like
Is it my knees?
if she's wearing okay, but if she's wearing pajama pants in the dining hall, that's overly sexual. But when she's wearing skinny jeans to math class, that's fine. Like
Thank
what?
you.
Literally, what is the difference?
Yeah. Or like, we had a whole argument about flip-flops at one point because they were like, you can't wear flip-flops because toes. And we were like,
What is it?
so...
My feet distract the boys?
Yeah, and literally all of us were like, none of us find toes sexy. That's your problem. And they were like, really? And you could see the disconnect between like grown-ups who had fully fledged sex lives and teenagers going, that's weird. Yeah, it was a whole moment. Anyway,
But again,
back to the book.
yeah, I've just never understood the whole. You can't wear lip gloss. I'm like, oh my god, it's clear lip gloss. It's one step up from Vaseline. What is it gonna do?
Right? That's true.
If you think I'm gonna attract anyone with that, it's still gonna happen even if I'm not wearing it. I don't know what you're talking about.
So, like, and I'm sorry, your child is growing up and developing hormones. More likely than not,
It
they are
happens.
going to find someone attractive, regardless of whether that person has a zit on their forehead or a perfect cat eye eyeliner thing happening right
Well,
now.
and of course, as the trans person, I couldn't help but think about how much of a cis problem this really is because, you know, if your child transitions at, you know, they're assigned male at birth and they transition as a child, what are you going to tell your trans daughter? Like, don't put that makeup on your face because it makes you what? Too girly? You're skirting the line of transphobia there. Like, I mean, there's a...
Yeah.
So then why is it okay to tell your cis daughter that? I mean, let's get real here. I mean, you know, just that's...
Yeah.
This is why these conversations
I
make
even
grown-ups
underst-
uncomfortable.
I understand if your child has gone a little heavy on the product, but that's when we talk about this is a makeup wipe.
Yeah, right.
Tone it down
Teach her how to use
because
the
you
makeup.
look like a circus clown.
Yeah, right.
Take it back a little bit,
Right.
and we can talk.
Yes. But
I
then
can see you from like 10 miles away. Maybe we should
Yeah.
make it so I can only
But then
see
there are
from
those
2.
people. But then there are those people who, like, you know, go out of their way to pierce their baby daughter's ears, and it's like, does she want her ears pierced? Does she want to wear earrings? Like, calm down, ma'am. Like,
It's almost like there's an issue between children and consent.
Yes.
don't get me started.
Actually, this book tackles consent a couple different ways.
Yes.
Let's
Yes.
talk about
Yes.
command. I mean, not just the kiss thing,
That game is.
but
It's
really quick.
Total nonsense. I can see, but
Do you remember having dumb games like that as a kid? And
Always.
it
Cooties?
making you angry. Yeah.
Cooties
Thank you.
was a big. Yeah. It was ridiculous.
But like that's what my notes wrote down. That was one of the things I wanted to talk about.
Hey, you
Top
guys.
topics. But
Hey, I just lost the game.
what game?
Oh, that game. Oh. This is the point of the show at which we are reminded that Aaron and Jen are actually part of the internet age, and the rest of us just use it
This
for
was
email.
high school.
Not for me, it wasn't.
It was for me. Clearly was for Aaron. who's
Clearly was for Aaron. Did you-
Literally
did you
gone out the
understand?
door.
Is that where you try not to think of the game? And then
Yes, when you think about the game.
Oh,
the game.
oh.
What's the game?
You already lost.
You just
just
lost.
lost.
Yes, I I don't know either. I'm too old for this.
There's a
Right,
similar
right,
thing where
right.
you can't think about Jackie Chan.
Hey,
It was a very...
The rules,
It's
the
okay.
one
if
thing-
the podcasters listening also lost. It's
To
okay.
circle it all the way back to the
the
actual
rules of the
book.
game is if you think about it, you
lost the
lose.
game.
Yes.
And you have to say out loud, "I've lost the game."
The thing I didn't
so
love
everyone else around you also loses.
was that, and again, they're all middle schoolers, so I have to remind myself that they are stupid just because they don't know things.
yeah.
Sure.
Not because they are incapable of learning, but
Sure.
because they are little children who don't know things yet.
Yes.
But that no one seemed to think it was a problem that Shayla got kissed against her consent.
Well,
That she did say,
Yeah.
I'm not playing this game. I don't want, like, not a full no, don't touch me, but there was definite, like, reticence about doing this.
Yeah.
and I think
It was
that's-
not
yes.
enthusiastic consent.
But I think that's one of those things that's established very early in the book, in that very first scene in which Shayla is hearing about Ralph Waldo Emerson, because the school that they go to is Emerson Middle School.
Yeah.
And so the teacher's not just randomly telling them about Ralph Waldo Emerson. It's one of those things that's
They keep
a part
coming
of
back
the
to
school
Emerson.
culture.
Yes. Yeah.
And what I think is established early on in the book is that this is a class full of students who have not yet had those particular cultural encounters that we are very used to middle schoolers talking about now. Like, real middle schoolers today will call you on it real fast. Like, they'll be like, there's no such thing as gender, knock it off, and like keep going. And you're just like, oh, okay, dang, 12-year-olds, calm down, But in the book, I think it's, like I said, it's established really early that they are not those kinds of middle schoolers, because
Yes.
Shayla's very much thinking like, I don't like how much this teacher is praising this white dude for being, I don't know, forward thinking. But she's always filtering it through what her father told her, or what her mom mentioned one time, or what
Yeah.
her sister would think of this conversation. She hasn't internalized it yet.
Yeah.
Which of course is the whole journey of the book. So I think the whole consent plot line fits within that window, but it's so much more personal to her because she actually has a crush on, this boy, and it's, the line is crossed, but she feels guilty in some sense because she's like, well, I do like him, I think, right? Like, she's still figuring out how she feels, and that's why I loved that scene with her gym coach. Because, woman to young woman, her mom's not gonna have that conversation with her. Her mom's still hunting her down for makeup. So, like, she needed an older woman who's
Yeah, and sometimes
unafraid
I think
to
you just
have-
need that sort of different, like, there are, not that you shouldn't be able to go to your mother about that
Yes,
ultimately,
right.
but sometimes you need that sort of farther out perspective.
Yeah, and I think it was nice because she was able to say to her, the game is problematic anyway, but no matter what, no one should ever touch you without your consent, let alone kiss you. Like, that is never okay. And you have a right to say something about that. You have a right to feel what you're feeling about that. And, like, it's not that it wouldn't have arrived any other kind of way, but I think having an adult say that to Shayla, as opposed to the other kids, gave it.
And also, especially, again, like that adult who has that sort of more mentor relationship with her, and not her mother or her father or her sister, because I feel like that would have just, like, it wouldn't have had the same impact due to the different nature of their relationships.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. But I hear your point about how, like, we know those middle schoolers that just would kneecap you if, like, that is not going to happen on their watch, kind of thing. So anyway, yeah.
Yeah, and I understand why it played out the way it did in the book, but for me, I was just uncomfortable. I was like, I don't love this less than consensual moment here.
Yeah, it was horrible. I mean, it was really, really, I mean, from jump. It's not even just that he kissed her without her consent. It was the whole thing. The fact that it was clearly set up, the fact that that game, as problematic as it already is, was a part of it, the fact that she's already struggling to feel comfortable because she's wearing makeup, and she knows her mom is going to have a problem with it, and there's a sleepover, but she's having really big problems with her friends. Like, the whole dance sequence is painful for many reasons, and the consent thing is just like the, like,
icing on cake.
yeah, like the the worst icing.
It's not even good icing. It's
Yeah.
like really badly made icing.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah.
I mean, the writing's good, but like what I'm saying is like it just tastes
no,
bad.
yeah.
Yes.
Icing tastes horrible.
Yeah.
Throw the whole icing out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. 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 Yes. Yeah. True.
What's on your list?
Yeah. So you have more questions?
Oh, actually, we started going through. In the course of it, we've answered almost everything everyone
Oh, all right.
put down. I mean, really quick recap.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me circle. Then because I
The pre-adolescent shit.
I
Go
threw
ahead.
something out there before, and so we can circle back to
Yeah.
this now.
Yeah.
How did we feel about Shay's sister's insistence that she needed more black friends? That like almost like a single-minded dedication.
I think I kind of got.
Because like
what she
I did
wanted.
understand her meaning behind it,
Yeah.
and like I don't think she was wrong, but I did feel like it was also like almost a very weird thing to like hyper focus on in Shay's life.
But have you ever had, like, obviously I can't relate from the racial kind of tone of that conversation, but for older siblings, and they would lay down the law of how they see it fit, and maybe their intent is good. Like maybe the sister's intent was good. She wanted Shay to have a more ethnically comparable experience through like what Julie is experiencing with her friends that she's
Yes.
known for years.
Do you feel some of that connection? Like I
get like what the sister was going for, but
But also, she's only 16, so of
Yeah,
course she's not exactly going to be much better about going at it. Than
but it
Shay
almost
is
came
going
across
to
as
be
slightly
with
like judgmental, like you need to be friends with these people versus these people. Like that's
sure,
not the
because-
message you need to send.
Right. But
You
know,
need to have these friends and these friends.
Yeah, but she's a high school senior.
Yeah, 'cause she knows everything.
She's gonna say it and she's the older sibling, so
Yeah.
she's gonna say it in ways that just are not couth. But then
Yeah.
there's that scene with her mom's book club, where she obviously knows these ladies and she has great conversations with them, and she can see why her mom is friends with these other women, but to her she's not seeing. Like, it's almost like she's noticing that all of her mom's friends are black for the first time.
Yeah.
Despite her mom's friends being the kinds of friends who are just like, oh, girl, I don't know about that white man in that school. Now, like, they're the kinds of women who would just say that. But Shayla's never realized, like, oh, all of my mom's friends are black women. Oh, and that like, has a value
Yeah.
to it in and of itself.
Or at least that all of, your mom's close friends who you see at the house, who
Yeah.
you know.
Yes,
Yeah.
precisely. There, for me, that, Hannah's. I was literally like listening to Hannah going, "Yep, preach," like, because as someone who has a lot of,
You have a lot of black friends?
I don't. But when I was in high school, I had a circle of, it was entirely black. We had a table, and it was very specifically, it was called the black table. And when everyone would be
Okay.
like, oh yeah, that's the black table, we were like, put some respect on it. Like, we were not afraid. We had a fearlessness about us because we were able to be together, even if the lunch table was the only time that we were able to do that. And the reason that that was necessary for us is because we were in a school, very much like Emerson Middle School, that had everyone you could possibly imagine. I mean, we had a girl from Mexico who had never seen snow before. So the day that it snowed, she was literally as if candy was falling from the sky. She was losing her mind.
I can imagine, yeah.
Someone threw a snowball at her, hit her right in the face, and she giggled like a 2-year-old. Like, she was just like, oh my God!
Delightful.
Yeah, it was amazing to
She got over that real quick.
Yeah, I'm sure. We had, a white South African whose experience of race was very different
You don't say.
than everybody else's, which clashed very hilariously with the girl from Kenya.
You also don't say.
So we had a very interesting school makeup in that way. So and we weren't the only group that did this. The Latinx group that was 2 tables down, they had the exact same thing. They needed a table at which they could speak Spanish.
Yeah.
And no one was going to say, well, why are you doing that? It's like, well, we're not asking you why that table smells like Abercrombie and Fitch from all the way across the table.
Or explain the joke. I didn't, can you repeat that for me in English?
Yes, we had a whole, and there was an understanding. If you were to approach the table, we weren't going to say no, but put some respect on it, otherwise you could leave. Like, it was an essential cornerstone of my high school experience that I don't feel the need to have any longer. But my best friend is a black woman. For obvious, purposeful reasons. I mean, because we love each other, we get along really well.
I would hope so.
However, there are whole conversations that she and I can have with one another, that we need to have with one another, that even her husband, like, you know, there are moments where he's just like, okay, goodbye, because they're just things that you have to eat. And I think everybody has that to some degree, but not everybody has to talk about it so much. Yeah. You know what I mean? If you've ever been...
I liked the bit where her mom was also saying, like, I have my book club friends who feel like sisters or whatever, like, metaphor she was using to say it.
Yeah.
But I've also met this new lady at the gym who I go running with now or whatever.
Yeah.
And she has that same feeling that I have always felt with my friends. And she's like, why is that weird? And Mom's like, well, she's white.
Yeah. And, like, I mean, and queer people know this. I mean, implicitly we know this. Like, if you've ever, like, gone from a less queer space to a fully queer space, the joy that you feel in your body is so intense. Like, it's just like, oh my God, like, it's undescribable, because that's what community feels like. And there are some people who don't have this problem. Not problem. Problem? Is it a problem? I don't know. There are people who just don't have that experience. Like, they I don't know if anyone's always comfortable, but there are people who enter spaces in which they are fully actualized all the time. I don't know what it's like to be one of those people, so I'm making that up off the top of my head. Write me a letter, people. I want to know what that feels like, because that's foreign to me. But yeah, I felt that was obviously a necessary component because of the plot and everything.
Yeah.
But that vibed with me really, really well. I was like, oh yeah, this was written by a black woman. Like, I know what that feels like.
And I liked Shay's insistence that, like, she didn't want to give up on her two true best friends who turned out to be her true best friends.
Yeah.
I liked Hannah's well-made point.
Yeah.
That, again, she beat badly because she's a high school senior and doesn't know how to talk about these things yet.
Yeah.
But she was not wrong. And then I liked her mom kind of ultimately being the middle point of that, which is like, yes, there is a valuable sense of community that you get by hanging out with black people if you're a black person, Asian people if you're an Asian person, whatever, that you don't get in mixed race friendships necessarily, but that doesn't mean you can't have meaningful relationships with people of another race and other sexuality.
And there are correlations that we all know that have nothing to do with, like, the obvious personal identities that we may express. Theater kids, you know, who's ever done a show or a year's worth of shows suddenly is like, if I'm not around theater people regularly, I'm going to lose my mind.
Yeah.
And you do.
Like, you just get your shorthand.
Yeah, you walk into a rehearsal, like, literally the very first rehearsal after COVID, Xavier, I'm calling you out if you're listening, or you're whatever.
Tagging.
Xavier walks into rehearsal and, like, immediate tears. And although I was not crying, I vibed with that. I was like, yeah, there's a special... But I started crying, like, 15 minutes later when Betsy's, like, running over, like, the first song. It's Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. We all knew it. But she's like, all right, I just want to hear what you sound like. Everyone started singing, and I was just sitting in the back calmly, like, weeping. I was just like, oh my God, musicians. Like, it's a thing that you feel if you have a community of nerds.
If I'm not sitting at the table with the people who are playing on their Nintendo DSs and also playing my Nintendo DS, am I really feeling a vibe right now? Absolutely not.
Andy and I were talking yesterday about how, like, one of the most special things about going to see either a Marvel or a DC movie or a Star Wars movie, which we won't be getting about. That's not the point.
Any movie that really has a fan base.
But yes, like the last Harry Potter movie.
I was in there vibing.
Started crying before because everyone kept showing up in costumes. The theater employees did a Potter Puppet Pals reenactment.
Good.
Except that they were
Excellent.
We were all screaming and crying at the same time.
See me at the Glee live tour in 2011.
Exactly. I was watching a Harry Potter musical.
Which it's not quite the same, but if you want that kind of vibe, go to a good Comic-Con sometimes.
Yeah. Yes.
Because it's almost overwhelming.
It is overwhelming.
Anime conventions, any of those?
Yeah, Motor City Comic Con, Chewbacca, like, about rolled me over. Did I stop him? Absolutely not. I was like, run me over, Chewbacca. I mean, like, it was a thing.
My favorite vibe type thing, especially at an anime convention, is sometimes people like have those little like, it's those little like pianos that you can put your like, that like you can also like blow into. And it makes noise.
Yeah.
One of those, or like they have like something like
It's
that.
ocarina, isn't it?
No,
It's not an ocarina.
No.
Never mind. I don't know.
that's something
instruments.
completely different.
All the musicians are like, well, we know which community you're not a part
I know
of.
it's completely different. I think it starts with an H, and I don't exactly
Okay.
remember what
Okay.
it's called.
It's 5:56, so I want us to do a smack, and I don't know if we
I
got
don't have one.
So I just
Now
thought,
you've told everybody what time we record the pod. I'm just kidding.
oh no, it's not at 5:17 a.m. when it goes live every Monday. We're not doing this live.
Okay, what's your smack? Because I really want to know.
Jane, Sirius, Remus, go.
Marrying Remus. Sorry.
Interesting. Explain.
For me,
Yeah.
the vibe
You
is
know who they
there.
are, right?
No,
I
I mean,
vibe
I
hard.
do.
I vibe hard with Remus, and he thinks that anything that you have can be fixed with chocolate. And if you really think about it, technically, because he was
He
like
ain't
one of the
wrong.
smartest ones of the Marauders,
Yeah.
he's kind of one of those masterminds behind all the different
He's
pranks.
a great wizard.
And if you want to get in trouble, you go to Remus because he's definitely the one that's going to get you out of it.
Well, yes, but that's because Sirius is in Azkaban.
No, but like think about it.
But
Like,
Sirius
But
is
he can
getting
think more
in
level-headed.
Yeah,
too.
that's true.
well,
Sirius
think
is
more
the-
level-headed, but like also he was what, like a prefect at some point. Like he was like one of those like teachery type things. You don't want to get in trouble.
Are you
go
telling
to
me
Remus.
that your type is like the rogue teacher who turns into a werewolf at night?
Absolutely
Yeah,
not.
she's
like,
Technically,
to a
it's
T.
serious.
Yeah, that's so you.
Absolutely not. Technically, it's actually serious, but you know, if I have to really think about it, I'm marrying Remus.
Okay, so are you going for a roll in the hay with Sirius, or
Yeah.
a roll in the
Yeah.
Shrieking Shack with?
and I can't separate.
Wow,
all the-
Shrieking Shack suddenly has a very different connotation playing this game. Carry on.
Thank you.
I can't split up Lily and James, and plus we kind of like Harry, so therefore, you know, I'm sorry, James.
You know, that's valid. I have a. All right. First of all,
I would snog. I just got to throw out there. I would snog Remus just because I want to get some of the after flavor of Tonks. What?
Oh, gross! Oh, God! I just don't even know how to. Oh!
This is a can of worms I did not expect to open.
Me neither. Okay, first of all.
Listen, wait.
Oh, God.
But
Okay.
if you marry Sirius, though, you get all the money. So I mean,
I'm all about Sirius Black.
Thank you.
Just because I want to fight with his mother.
Of course you do.
No,
But
you could just
also-
go in there and fight with the portrait.
But I also, you're right, exactly. I also really love Sirius. Sirius says my favorite line in both book and movie of the entire series. I literally, like, every time I watch Order of the Phoenix, I tear up so bad when he looks at Harry and he says that line about light and dark. We both have light and dark inside us. He says that to Harry, and I just am like I just lose it. It hurts. I don't know why. It just works. Well, I do know why, because that's the last time that Harry sees Sirius alive.
Stop.
Anyway, but I'm a big Sirius Black girl, so Sirius Black it is.
Homie,
To marry Remus, I would snog only because James. What's his middle name?
I don't know if we ever got his middle name.
James Potter is problematic AF. And the way that relationship is written is a very, like, Lily saves James from being a jerk kind of thing. Lily should have never married Severus because it would have been the same situation, just worse. But do I think James deserved to get, like, punched in his face by Severus Snape? Yes.
That would have been fair.
Because...
But then why don't Sirius and Remus deserve that?
Technically, they.
Okay, maybe that's
Remus
fair because they
technically,
were.
I think-
You're right because they were
Remus
egging him
maybe
on.
less so.
That's
But
true.
Sirius
Maybe
was
less
right
so.
We're gonna let
there
them
for
fight.
that scene.
Consent.
Dear listeners,
Yeah,
we
you're right.
love you.
That's
we
fair.
have to go. Tune in next time.
What are we talking about?
Middle grade.
fiction.
Yay!
Ooh, that'll be fun.
Till next time.
Peace music.
Same bad time. Same bad channel.